We now arrive at the last week of the year. Next week will be Rosh Hashanah. And I recently heard a very clever remark. The purpose of life is to live with purpose. Beautiful. But how do we know what our purpose is? How do we figure it out? And I want to explain with a beautiful story. Reb Chaim Brim was the Baal Tefillah. He was the one who was the Shliach Tzibur in Skver. And he lived in Mea Shearim, but he would fly in for the Yamim Le'Roim, so he was known around the world. And when he died, his many children sat Shiva in their small Mea Shearim apartment, and one day in walks a fellow. He sits in the back of the room. He doesn't look like he's a Mea Shearim person. He's an individual who had a kippah struga. And he's sitting there quietly, and finally one of the children said to him, "How did you know our father?" And he said, "Oh, hu haya haRebbi shali, he was my Rebbe." So they said to him, "From where? Like, were you in his class? Did you know him from around the neighborhood?" He goes, No. From the hospital." "From the hospital? How do you know him from the hospital?" He says, "Your father was having a procedure. And here's the way the room was set up. An empty bed, and then me, and then your father. And for the first day or two, we made small talk. And one day, a few days later, they brought in a young man, a boy, maybe teenage years. They didn't think he was going to live. But miraculously, he recovered. And as he recovered, he regained consciousness. And your father says to me, tell him that he should bench goimo. It's customary, it's a halacha, that when one recovers from a traumatic experience, you bench goimo. You say a special blessing thanking Hashem when you go up to the Torah, or it can even be done in private. And he asked him the first day, and he says, I didn't have a chance to. And then Reb Chaim Brim asked me the second day. Finally, after the third day, he says to me, did you ask the young man if he could bench goimu? He was a Chiloni child. He was somebody who was not religious. But I told him, no, I didn't have a chance. The discussion didn't lead that way. And he says, you really need to ask him. And I said to your father, if you're so anxious, why don't you ask him? And he said, no. Atalo mevin, you don't understand. Ata betoch hamita, you're in the bed. Shekarov lo bioter. You're closer to him. And therefore, since you're closer to him, it's your job, it's your privilege, it's your purpose. If I was in that bed, it would be my job. In life, many opportunities will come your way. And if you want to know what your calling is, look around, ask yourself why you were put in that position. And then you'll realize what your purpose in life will be. My humble blessing to everyone is a ksiva v'chasima toiva, a good gebenched yard. May Hashem make all of our hopes and dreams come true.